This is really fun, but I just got kicked out of Arby's, and they said I can't come back anymore because I was stealing too much of the horsey sauce. I've been hoarding
Mm.
it. I have a lot of horsey sauce, but it's so good. I don't like Arby's food, but the horsey sauce.
Do you keep it in a special place?
Oh, I have a whole pantry full of it.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Hello, everyone. This is Tom. No Jason today. Jason's busy with his family, but I'm bringing you a very special episode of FFIB with Tom, and we got a decent replacement. We got Leong Ma joining us.
Hey everyone.
He knows more about knives than any of us, so this is gonna be a good one. Good episode. Tune in. Go get some popcorn. Make sure your phone is charged. You're in a comfortable place. Your significant other is out of earshot, so she doesn't know you're watching a dumb show about knives and Arby's horsey sauce.
Which will probably make you spend more money on knives.
We're gonna make you spend money on knives if you watch, because you know what? This guy right here, this guy, he makes some pretty sweet ass knives. So you're gonna want one if you watch this. I'm just gonna say you're gonna at the end of the show you're gonna want to go buy one. That's it's gonna happen, but it's okay. You guys are used to that. Anyway, how's it going, Leon?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much. Yeah.
So maybe you can give an introduction to yourself for those who don't know you. You've been around for a long time, I know, but there's probably some people that don't know your face.
Well, I thought I was the weird one growing up because I was the only one into knives. I grew up in New York City and I would go hunting for like knife magazines. As soon as I found blade magazines, and back then there were like tactical knives and knives illustrated, I would walk around New York City to all the magazine shops to hunt for the magazines. And eventually I realized that there was something called knife shows in New York City. I was like, holy moly. So I didn't know what to expect, but I went. And that was the first experience of actually knowing or actually finding out that people made knives for a living. And I was looking and I was like, you actually make a knife for and you do this as a job? No one ever told me that this could be a job, and a lot of them was just skilled craftsmen, and just saw the passion, the work. And my first show, I think I was 18 years old, and that's how long ago I've been into knives. I met Ernie Emerson, not knowing who Ernie Emerson is, but just he was really nice to me, and his table was sold out. He just had a couple of fixed blades there, and I was like, I did see your name in one of the magazines. I wanted to check out one of your knives, and he had a prototype, what he called a CQC9, which was a hawkbill blade with the Spyderco hole.
Okay.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Walking around, I saw some other makers, and I saw Spyderco. Now, I've been carrying Spyderco for a long time.
Heard of them?
When they were when most of the handles were stainless steel.
Yeah, that was before me. That was for I have zero stainless steel Spydercos, I can confirm.
Yeah, and it was like, and it's like a transition. So I know, like, my first knife was like something from the flea market, okay, and as you read more and get more educated, then you're like, oh, what is this brand? Oh, so I was actually able to check it out, and I was like, I like this, and the ideas made sense. Like the opening hole made a lot of sense to me. The pocket clip made a lot of sense to me. I mean, they were like the first ones to put a pocket clip and have an opening hole, right?
That's what when people say what is Spyderco done, I just say pocket clip.
Yeah,
mic drop. That's it. You've been in the pocket clip.
and that was like, okay, and it was just like, it made so much sense because traditionally, if you carry any knife, it will go to the bottom of the pocket that you put it in, and you'll feel all the weight of that knife, And so when the pocket clip was invented for a knife, it took all the weight off it. Now it's on the seam of your pocket, and most of that weight was distributed,
Yeah.
and it just made so much sense. I was just like, wow, they're so smart. So I was carrying them for a while. And I met Sal, and Sal used to go to all the local shows and everything. And, I've known Eric since he was in high school. It's like, yeah, I mean, and I've collected a bunch of Spydercos that probably no one ever known of, because some of these are like super old Spydercos, but they're in my collection.
Sorry, I was having Wi-Fi issues, so I missed a minute of that.
Oh no! So I was saying I have a lot of older Spydercos because I've been collecting them for so long that some of these people have no idea what they are anymore. I mean,
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, and then
did you ever carry a Spider? Do you have a Spyderco on you right now? Are you carrying a Spyderco?
I have several here on my table.
Ooh, let's. How about this? Because I kind of have a hunch. I know what some of them are. Let's surprise them and sprinkle them through the video cast, because there's some pretty cool things up there.
How do you do that?
No, I'm just saying we'll show them off every once in a while. You can show something off.
Okay.
So that one's not your first Spyderco, definitely.
No. I would say this one I used to carry at work. It's a mini police with a G10 scale.
That's really cool. That's funny. A mini police.
Yeah.
Looks like a police.
And then this was like their martial arts knife, one of their first knives with the.
Oh, what is that one called again?
I forgot. Geez, there were two versions. There was a leaf shape, and this was a trailing point.
Okay.
It was one of their first knives with the famous lock.
Oh, really? That was before the PM2 compression lock, huh?
Oh yeah, this was one of their first compression locks.
Oh wow.
Yeah. It's so different, And then like this was one of their first. This was the Bob Terzola with the detent lock instead of it's for European market.
Oh, okay.
And I saw it, and everyone was sold out. So at a show, I saw Eric, and I was like, "Do you happen to have one of those that I can buy?" And he took my name and address and just sent it to me. And I was just like, "These guys are super awesome," But yeah. And of course the fixed blade Spot, one of my favorites.
That's a cool knife. That's really neat.
Yeah.
It looks like it do some damage with that. That's a different Spidey edge for sure.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah. And of course, this thing that no one ever thought of is a traditional Lockback Spyderco Jess horn.
Is there any other Spydercos that don't actually have a hole in them?
No, I think this was one of the only ones. It had a mill slot on both sides.
It's like a Vero.
And it's a jig bone scales and had a mill pocket clip out of stainless steel. And it looks like a traditional knife.
Yeah.
And this is number 115 of 500. Yeah.
Nice.
So these are the old stuff and this was the bifold. And it actually folds in half this way instead of the other way.
Yeah, that's pretty neat.
So I love their funky designs. I mean, this was stuff that I loved about Spyderco because they used to go like this was like a different way of thinking for them, a different way and that's what made me took notice of them. It was just like, wow, you came out like the opening hole and the pocket clip, and and they were just collaborating with makers. I think they were one of the first ones who collaborated with makers and did those maker collaborations.
Oh, cool.
And they, I mean, that really that really put a lot of makers on the map, and also it actually brought other ideas that it wasn't just this little ecosystem. It was now branching out to other people, and you see other companies have adopted that quite well, where they do maker collaborations, and for some companies it's the entire line, it's
Oh
making
yeah.
collaborations. Yeah. So I've always like appreciated that, just because like I carry pocket knives since I was like 8 or 9 years old, and anything that makes my life easier, I actually want to put in for what I do, and that's what that kind of got me like more excited about knives in general, because um, maybe one day I could actually design something that people would like, and it took a while, like, not to draw something, but you actually have the courage to approach a maker and to actually ask them, like, would you make something of mine? Because, like, like, I don't know. I mean, I'm like,
Makes sense. I totally get that. Yeah.
yeah,
You
would
feel
they
like
just
you're
shoot me down?
inconveniencing
Or,
somebody almost.
yeah, I would be like, who are you to ask me to make my knife? Make your knife. So, like, I approached a few people about flippers way back when, and nobody was making a flipper yet. The only person who made a flipper was Kit Carson, and a lot of makers then were like, I don't think that's gonna work.
It'll never catch on. Flippers
Yeah,
will never catch
so
on.
I was like, I'll draw it out for you. So I drew it out, and I um, I read Bob Terzola's book, How to Build a Folding Tactical Knife. Okay, and I would draw everything out in pencil, paper and pencil, measure, and then I would cut them out, photocopy it, cut them out, and put them on like plastic where I could just cut with a razor blade, and then I'll put like a screw as a pivot and another screw as a stop pin, and I was like, look, it works,
That's awesome.
And that was just like my first like model, like first stencil to see like if my designs would work, you know. And then another maker gave me a copy of AutoCAD, and it took me like 6 months to even like play with it, right? And then one of the first makers that I worked with, his name is Eddie Baca, and his wife was an AutoCAD engineer. So I was asking him, "Oh, Eddie, do you think Margaret would look over my drawings and see if they work and see if they're properly sized and everything? I'll pay her to do it." And he's like, "Okay, sure." So she looked at my drawing. She's like, "Leon, no human could handle these knives. The blade are 5 feet long and the handles are 6 feet long." And I'm like, "Oh shit." So I had to like go back and like really learn the program, because I was just drawing. I didn't even know anything about dimensions or sizes in AutoCAD, right?
I totally get that. Like when I was in high school, I took drafting for 4 years. Every term of high school, I took drafting. I didn't start using AutoCAD until my teacher forced me to my senior year last term, because I like drawing with pencil. It's fun drawing with pencil. He like forced me to use AutoCAD. It's like I don't want to use a computer. It's like no, it's fun. It's just drawing.
But like along the way, a lot of makers have given me tips and hints and taught me certain tricks on AutoCAD, which has helped me to this day. And then I learned SolidWorks slightly. I'm not very very great at it, but I'm okay at it. And it's like all these things really help with the design aspect, and also like just being able to talk to makers. They'll give me like, okay, how is this going to look? Usually when I submit the AutoCAD drawing, it's just a 2D line drawing, right? And then we have to talk about the dimensions, like, okay, what's the thickness of blade? What type of grind do you want? What kind of finish? And then how thick and wide do you want those handles to be? And you make a few mistakes. Like at first I wanted everything to be like really thick and overbuilt, right? And then after a while, you're like, that is not necessary at all.
Medford has a place. What do you say?
But it's like for like I come from a cooking background, right? I was a chef, so you want the thinnest blade possible as in kitchen knives, unless you're like trying to chop bone, and usually we just use the back of a cleaver or back of a chef knife for that. Yeah, but it's like we you don't particularly want the thickest blade. When you have to cut a whole bunch of vegetables and you have to break down a whole side of an animal. You don't want the thickest blade. You want the thinnest because that will keep the edge a lot longer. Um, and so we learn by mistakes. We learn from all the things that we did, and I consider myself very lucky because it's like I've always had a good rapport with a lot of makers, and they were willing to experiment, take a chance on a design, and usually like it's something that speaks to me about their work, like whether it's really clean work from John W. Smith or just like people who are willing to do like over the edge designs, like Alan Leishowitz,
His knives are
to
nuts. Yeah.
yeah, even like newcomers at the time, like Todd Rexford, and now you can't even get one of his knives anymore, or even like guys who didn't even think about making knives, who were like a welder by trade, but who makes some of the best knives, like Sal Monero, and he turns out some of the best knives ever. you know. So I've been very lucky to be able to work with guys who had a passion, and both of us collaborated together. Um, and then at some point, everybody, like, the wait time became years instead of a few months. And so I started asking like other companies if they would do my designs.
How long ago did you? So this was when was your first design? How long ago was that?
I was probably like 20 years old, probably like 25 years ago, 26 years ago.
This is the 18, correct?
Yeah. But my designs go back beyond that,
Before, so this is even older. That's okay.
because that's when I started counting, and that's when I actually have better designs. My first several years, most of the knife designs were karambits, like self-defense
Yeah.
karambit. Um, and there were fixed blades. There were guys who made like one or two off, and not enough to like actually sell them. So when I actually started selling them was, when I had makers built me at least 10 pieces, and then I would sell them as a collaboration. But the first few were just like ideas to see if my ideas would actually translate from paper onto metal, and just to see like if I got measurements correct, and to see if the ideas work, how they feel in the hand. Because those were like my first instances of um, actually drawing something and then having someone else translate it, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So you've been making what? You've been making knives for a minute though. For or
I've been designing knives for a minute.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
How many would you think in your career that you actually had seen go the whole way and get made?
I have quite a few.
100,
No,
200?
no, maybe about like 30 or so, 35.
I bet you have more than that. I bet. But it's not a small number. I do know that.
I have never sat down and counted each design.
I was just like looking. It's funny because I've been watching your knives for years, and I always had this. Well, I had a thing where I only bought Spydercos, so that kind of was a problem. But I'd always see your knives on Blade HQ, and I loved the designs. And I always thought it was interesting because I go look at Spydercos, like, oh, a PM2 is still a PM2, but I
Mhm.
go look at your stuff, and it's like oh shit, that's sold out and it's gone. And now there's a version 2 of that, and it's only been a year, and you're constantly evolving stuff. It's like your CQI is, oh, the next run, like the next time, the next
Yeah.
version.
Yeah.
So that's what I always thought was cool. Is it also maybe not buy one at first though? I'm like, what if the next one is cooler than this one?
And that is my fault because I am like I see like myself like evolving, right?
Yeah.
Like any artist. And it's like you only realize like you want to add something else until something you already did,
Yeah.
right? And it's always like, oh man, I should have done that. And then like I think when you look at a lot of manufacturers and makers, like they really have to like be like they really have to like it takes something to not want to change their existing design, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh no, we gotta change it to this clip. We gotta change it to this, to this grind. Or we gotta add like a 1/4 inch or do this. And it's like, I love the freedom to be able to do that. But I totally understand. Like, look, the PM2. I mean, it is iconic. Iconic. You will recognize the PM2 everywhere you go, right? Even people who have never owned a PM2 will be like, that's PM2.
It's the ugly knife with a hole and a hump on it.
Yeah. So it's like, and I kind of debate myself on that sometimes, like, because there's certain knives like the Field Duty, right? And there I get messages all the time about it, all the time. Oh, don't change it, just keep coming out. And I'm like, I'm like, I want to change something on it, And yeah,
maybe this is a good example since we haven't really showed it. So don't freak out, everybody, but I'm going to show you a really sweet ass looking knife. Just warning you. So this is one of Leong's knives. This is called the Warrior. This is the Warrior 2 version 3, I believe. Is that correct?
Yes.
So this knife I wanted since I saw the Warrior 1. And so it's obviously gone through several iterations. It's just a really cool knife. So I think of the 3 knives of yours I have, this one's probably the most emblematic, I'd say, of your design style.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So this is a Riot manufactured knife, correct?
Yep.
So
they're all Riot manufactured at this point.
It's so good. It's just so good. But anyway, for those of you who are not familiar, this is one. This is the cuff. This is one of his designs. This destroys the Spidey Chef. This is not in the same league as the Spidey Chef. And this one is my fanciest one. I haven't carried this one yet.
You should carry it.
I know I should. I just have a lot of things I've been carrying.
I can always refinish it if you get a scratch somewhere.
Ooh, now you're tempting me. So this is the 18, and this one's got
Damasteel,
a Damasteel blade and side cut.
Copper carbon fiber.
Yep. All right. Yeah. So these are what Leong's knives look like. They feel as good as they look. They're quite excellent. So, you're a designer. You don't make these.
I don't make them. You don't want me to grind the blade, even though I've tried. I'm okay shaping titanium. So I did a run of these pry bars called a Xeno. And this is the Riot made version, but originally this was a square block of titanium when I got them from the water jet, right? They were all square. And I was at my friend Alan Folt's house, and Alan Folt's lives like 5 minutes from me. And I was like, how hard would it be to contour and round that titanium on the top and all the way around? And he's like, it's not hard, but you're gonna have to be patient, and this titanium is gonna get hot. So I sat there and I rounded it on the belt, like just round it. And it took me about like 10 minutes, 15 minutes each. And some of them, like you're gonna see like little hot spots on them, and then we cleaned it up. and he ground the pry bar part because I couldn't get it like hard enough to grind the pry bar part, but he did that for me. So it showed me like what a knife maker would go through in shaping like titanium, you know, and it was a good experience. I mean, I did about 30 of those, and it really was a good experience to show me like what has to happen to for you to like actually take on shaping metal. And you know, it wasn't without injury. I ground off certain bits of my fingers, like the skin would ground off, and I'm like, ah, man, you know, I shouldn't have gotten so close. But it was good, a good learning lesson, you know.
Oh yeah. I my aspirations in this world are definitely more along the lines of what you do than I don't I don't want to make him a knife. I'm no. But I would love to draw one. And I think that's really cool thing that it's not overlooked by any means, but I think the path you've gone down is
Mhm.
really, really neat. And I don't know. I haven't been around long enough, but it seems like you've been doing the design, having an OEM issue it for you under your brand name. Like you've been doing that for a long time.
Yeah,
And now
yeah.
you're seeing it a lot more, but you've been around doing it.
And you know, it's something that I kind of fell into because I was a chef and I was a professional chef, and you know, just trying to get collaborations with other factories. And around like 2006, you know, I was speaking with a company called Columbia River Knife and Tool for some time, and they were very receptive and they were very nice to even talk to me. Right? I mean, they've been around for at least a decade by that time, if not more. And you know, I showed them a lot of my knives, and they're like, "You have an eye for design, but we don't know where to put you because you're a designer. You're a pure designer. You're not like a lot of designer slash maker, right? Like each knife maker is basically a designer, right?
Yeah.
In their own sense. So they're like, we don't know how to fit you or what your niche is. And I'm like, I get your point. And then my first design with them was something called the Eaton tool, which was a spork.
I own that.
Okay, so
I literally own that thing. I bought it because I thought it was ridiculously funny on Amazon like 10 years ago. Like,
okay, so the original premise was because I lived in New York City. Okay, and going on dates and stuff, trying to convince a woman to carry a pocket knife for self defense. They thought like I was going to go attack them with a knife or something. Right? So you can never encourage a woman to carry a pocket knife. So how to get someone to carry a self defense tool that didn't look like a self defense tool? So I was like, a spork. Yeah, you could jab someone in the face or eye with that thing.
I never even thought of it as a defense tool. I thought of it as something that I could take camp.
Yeah, and the thing was like, so I approached it. I approached it to CRKT that way, and they were like, "This is a brilliant idea. You could open your beer with it. There's a screwdriver." It was the first of its kind, you know, like a multi-tool utensil, right?
Yeah.
And you know, they made it, but like it was kind of like a weird thing because the only person who really believed in it was the president of the company. His name is Rod Bremer, and like the first year they ran it, it beat everybody's sales. Like all it was the top sales for like I think a good like 5-6 years.
That's not even a knife.
And I have a knife. And then so it kind of helped branch out the other areas for their catalog. And now you see like they want like a lot of companies want a lot of tool ideas because you know a knife is a knife and you see all these knives, but to the normal person, most knives look pretty much the same. They cannot tell the difference between a drop point, a spear point, a Tonto, or Warncliffe. They're not educated in that sense. They're just like, oh, it's a knife. I just need a knife. That's it. But tools, it kind of branches out. And the Ian tool, I mean, it has gone into a lot of the big stores, and like, you know, and a lot of people buy it because of the backpacking and camping utilities of it, you know. That was my original intent, was to create a self-defense weapon for women that didn't look like a self-defense weapon. Like you could have it on your keys. And I shared it with one of my friends, and she has like 2 daughters. She's like, I need to get some of those. Your daughters are into self-defense. It's like, yeah, I'll just send you a few. Don't worry. I'll just send you a few. You know?
That's really funny that very random that I have that, but it's funnier that it's so unassuming.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think that it was anything other than a spork. I really didn't. I never would have thought about it doing anything.
Well, good.
So it definitely works.
It works. And you know, it's just like, and then like I always wanted to get like my knives made to a custom level, you know. And as custom makers were becoming like rock stars, as they should, and wait times became longer and longer, you know, I was searching for companies anywhere. And at first, I really looked at all the American manufacturers. And of course, there were a huge backlog and wait times. And so I was like, maybe one day I can do a project here. And I found someone on Facebook, and they made this knife, and I couldn't even pronounce the name. And I was like, no, they made that in China? Get out of here. Because all I've been used to were like the more cost-effective offerings. So I bought one online, either from Blade HQ or Knife Center, or someone had one. And then I looked at it, I was like, get out of here. What? I mean, it was amazing. An amazing knife for $400.
When was that? How long ago?
That was like end of 2012, early 2013.
Who was the maker?
Riyadh.
Oh, it was Riyadh that long ago.
It was Riyadh. And so I was searching online for a way to contact them, because they didn't have a website that I could contact. And I found David on Facebook. And I sent him a message out of the blue on Facebook Messenger. And I was like, hey, did you make this knife? This is pretty damn cool. You know, it was the Horizon A. And it was amazing. You know, for what it was, I was like, I have never seen like production quality like that, even like 7-8 years ago, right? We're talking about. So he messaged me back, and we started a rapport. And I was like, you know, I'm a designer, and I really want to see if we can work together. And he heard of me before. I'm like, wow, you heard of me before? I'm like, great, you know. So yeah, I mean, it was just so crazy, you know, how that started, you know. And it was like just taking a chance, because like you're hearing all these stories, and you don't know who to trust. And then like there's someone all the way overseas in China that you have never met before who wants to work with you. But then you're like, should I take this chance or should I not take this chance, right? And then like I didn't do 3D drawing back then, so I hired someone to do a 3D drawing of the original Warrior, and he did it for me. And then I sent the drawing over to David, right? I emailed him, and he's like, yeah, we can build this. And then, you know, he requested a certain amount of money. I was like, oh man, now I'm sending money over there too, not just my intellectual property. You know? I was like, oh my.
Yeah, here, China, take my drawings, take my money. I trust you. It's all good.
And then like, you know, a month later, he sent me like 2 samples, and I was like, holy shit.
So the Warrior one was your very first knife made by Riyadh?
Yeah. And I was like, take my money. Go ahead, take my money. If you could do this on every single one, take my money. You know?
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So that was 2012-ish, so almost 10 years ago.
Late 2013, we finally got the samples, and then early 2014, the run was getting made. And I think 2015 was when I first started selling
Oh
under
wow.
my own brand. So it took a while because we talked for like a good 6 months on Facebook. So it was cool. I mean, it was definitely an experience to like having a contact overseas, but like building up a rapport to see if you can trust them, and then also like seeing like if they will be true to their word is the most important thing, right? Like it's like saying what you're gonna do when you say you're gonna do it is probably the most important business principle ever. You know.
I work in construction. That's the rumor. I should probably follow it, but I understand the saying. I get it. We'll be done. It's pretty much done. It's done enough on time.
Oh man,
So
yeah,
so you said his name's David with Riyadh.
David Dang.
So is Riyadh's based in China, right? So is he Chinese
Yeah, is based
national?
in China in
Okay.
Guangzhou, and it is yeah. I mean, they just moved into a new factory last year, and there's a lot of people using them now. A lot.
I have handled not not a ton, but I've handled quite a few, and they're all really good. Yours are the best I've handled, I will say, but they make a good knife. They make a really good collaboration knife, a lot
Mhm.
better collaboration knife, I think, than they make from their own branded stuff. I think like your guys' stuff. I got what else do I have here? I have a Sharp by Design. Like this is a pretty
Mhm.
cool knife.
Yeah, yeah.
I have a Brian Brown. Like I think their collaborations are amazing. They make nice stuff too in house. Like here's a K2. I like this
Hmm.
one a lot. They're
Yeah.
just it's hard to explain to someone who hasn't held a Riot. They're not they're not the same as like a Koenig, but they're not worse than a Koenig. They're very very precise feeling. Everything about them feels very intentional, very precise, um, very smooth. I don't. It's hard to describe how good a Riot made knife is to someone who hasn't held one and who has expectations of it. You know, a Kershaw made in China for 19.99 on Amazon.
Right. It's a very different beast, and that's one of the reasons why I keep opting to work with them. And even now, when I get messages from other OEMs in China who want to give me a better deal, and I was like, "Can you match the quality?" It's one of the questions I ask, and that's something that's important to me because, like in any business, all it takes is one thing to fill a customer, and there goes your name. So it is one of these things that I really, I feel like I'm very lucky to have someone who takes that care so that I can deliver that product to my customers because I back it up. I if they have a complaint with it and it is a legitimate complaint, then I side with them. But if it's something like, oh, I was prying a staple out of a piece of wood and I chipped the blade. No, you already abused the knife there, And it's like one of these things is how I can offer like a lifetime warranty on my knives,
hmm,
as long as they don't abuse it, right? And I tell them that
yeah.
up front. I mean, if you're gonna use it to like pry or baton or use it to chop something, your knife is not gonna last that long. A knife is just made to cut, you know. But and if you take care of it, like get a can of that compressed air and just spray it out, you'll be fine. Your knife will be clean. You don't need to take it apart every week to clean it. You can just pass some compressed air and you'll be fine. You don't, yeah.
Well, this is Sean Reese. So the way these work, we have a lot of the same viewers that participate with us. But
This is
Sean's
great.
birthday. So happy birthday, Sean. He
Happy
wants to
birthday.
spend his birthday with us, Leon.
Oh,
Just us BSing.
oh, that's awesome. I
Yeah,
wish we could all share some cake together and beers. Yeah.
yeah. I don't. Speaking of the Riot thing, like I've handled not a ton of Wii's, not a ton of Best X, but some. And Kaiser. Who else is an OEM from China?
There is, let's see, Concept. That's QSP, Tuya,
Is Two Sons an OEM?
Tucson. Yes. Um, that's a bunch, and I'm sure there's going to be like a lot more because these OEMs were basically shops that were doing work for a lot of other companies, and then when Riot came out, and they're like, why don't we just do that instead of doing stuff for other companies instead? So I mean, in a way, I feel it's like almost like a lost opportunity for a lot of American companies because I'm sure they could have captured this whole market, and done the high end production custom knives if they wanted to. They could have done that, and I think they would have just kept the whole market to themselves. And in a sense, like it's fortunate that they didn't do it because I'm able to have a brand out there for myself. But at the same time, I have had a few stumbles along the way. It wasn't like a straight road to success. You're gonna make mistakes. You got to learn along the way, and hopefully, not lose your shirt while you're learning. So it's I'm very grateful for the experience. And I'm grateful for all the friendships I made, in this business because each one of us, like whether we say or not, we back each other up. This is a very small community. It's very tight knit. Everyone knows everyone else, and it's very easy to just call me because my phone number is displayed on my website, right? And be like, "Hey, what's the deal with this?"
That's one thing. You kind of sum that up. That people in this hobby completely lose sight over all the time. Hey guys, most businesses in this hobby are not big businesses. Most of them are like a dude. Like even a lot of the knife shops you guys buy stuff from like all the time and think are these huge businesses. It's a dude and maybe a couple people helping them, but these are not like Blade HQ is big. I'm sure they have lots of employees, but
Oh,
most places are like Cutlery Shop. You guys buy tons of knives from him. Not a huge business. Just it's a small business, and you get that type of customer interaction when you're dealing with that type of business, which is a huge benefit of it. Like, go ahead, call Kershaw. Are you going to talk to Ken Onion?
yeah, and Cutlery Shop has been around for years. They're
Yeah.
one of the first to be online. You know, it's like they've been. I mean, these brands. I mean, they created their own brand, but it's like that's why they have such a tight relationship with Spyderco, right? Because they've been around for so long. You know.
I'm just starting to read this one. So, our other fearless leader is unable to be on video, but he wants to. I'm not sure.
Nawaha, not such.
I think that says Sean Houston backwards.
Okay.
I had to figure it out. I just wanted to bring it up here.
That is pretty cool.
I don't know how he typed it backwards, but he did.
How he was able to type backwards. Hey, he must be one of those like he could read backwards kind of people.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Your designs impress me. They just do. And I know it's not you personally building them, but I really appreciate the fact that your knives are definitely not the cheapest by any means. Like they're expensive. I mean, they're not expensive knives, but you get what you pay for sure.
Yep.
And I like that you're not trying to cut corners and keep costs down. Like this Warrior, it's a marble carbon fiber one, but this marble carbon fiber is legit. It's not cheap. It's nice carbon fiber. It's an M390 blade. It's got killer action. It's all titanium. It flips great, and it feels like a Riot, which is a big compliment to get. It feels very solid. It feels like the edges. This is so contoured. It's terrific. It feels like a river rock in your hand. It's good.
And one of the things that working with them I've been able to do is to get that blade, there needs to be someone to grind that blade, right? And the Warrior Knife series was originally, I drew that up, and I had a friend maker. He's long gone now. His name is Bob Long, and he was in Oregon. And he was famous for his tantos. I mean, his tantos are beautiful. It's almost like the stuff of like if you ever think of like a Japanese novel that featured a tanto in there, it would be like something that he made.
Yeah.
There's just such beautiful knives. So I asked him, I was like, I was designing knives then, and I was like, Bob, would you mind making a flipper tanto for me of my design? And he's like, man, I'm too old to be messing with those flipper knives. That's for you youngins. And I'm like, I would like to have this with your blade. He's like, that blade has been around for over 10,000 years. So a lot of makers. Ask one of them to make it. And right there was the most generous gift. He gave me permission to have someone else make it. I mean, it's not his knife, it's not his design, his pattern handle or anything at all. But it was just like that was the first instance of me knowing like what a tanto blade is from him.
Yeah.
And I saw that blade and I was just like, wow, this is beautiful. And like, if you ever hear him talk about grinding that blade, he's like cursing half the time, right? He's like, man, there's so much pain to get that even, and then the front part, and to get that concave part in there.
Yeah, that's what gets screwed up on tantos a lot, is this line right here.
Yeah.
Where it turns from the flat to the hollow grind. It's you notice if it's different. You'll notice.
Yeah. So like I feel like, like whenever I look at one of the warriors, I'm just like, man, someone did this right. It's just it's not easy to get that type of grind. So yeah, someone is there. They have skilled people to be able to grind like that. And those are freehand grind. It's not like you're on a jig or something, which is a different type of grind altogether. Mm-hmm. And so like I love to be able to offer that. Because it's really like the handmade process of it all, and that was one of the things, like in talking with David more, like, and visiting him when I was in China, I went to a shop and, I was like, so at the time he had like about 8 to 10 people working in the finishing part of putting the knives together. And I was like, so how many knives do each one of these guys put together every day and finish out completely? And he's like, it's not a lot. I'm like how many? It's like anywhere from 3 to 6. I'm like, 3 to 6 per person? Like, Jesus Christ, dude, you need to find like another 50 people here. And he's like, yeah, but they go through hiring processes, and where someone come in and they would basically set their skill level, right? And if the level isn't there, they're like, okay, would you be, we can train you to get there, but sometimes even after a couple of weeks, they're like, okay, you know what, your skills are not that good. We can't keep you here. He told me, he's like, we have gone through several hiring processes and not everyone makes it, not everyone gets kept, because they just don't have that skill level. It's really like making knives is an art, and the art requires passion or love from the actual individual to be able to put that type of work in there. And if they don't have it, then it's like any other job. That guy could go around flipping burgers because he's not going to do anything that requires real work in it.
That's what always boggles my mind, is to think that like we are so on the online community, like dialed in and obsessed with knives. Meanwhile, there's somebody that works at Kershaw down the street that does not give two shits about knives, and they put knives together all day long.
Yeah.
Like, there are people that work in these knife factories. They're not knife people. They work at a job where
Yeah.
they're skilled at what they do. But it doesn't necessarily mean that everyone is super into knives like we are the same way.
Right.
So you have to have a passion. You have to be super excited about stuff to really, it shows. It really does show.
Yeah, and that's why I see, like, if a custom maker is asking a certain amount of money, give it to him, because that person spent probably like over $10,000 just to learn how to make knives. Getting the equipment cost him way more than that, and the time and energy to be spent just to learn that craft, and want to keep doing it. It's yeah, pay him what he asked for. Or what she asked for,
It's hard to talk about. It's really hard to talk about in general, especially when I'm just doing it off the cuff. But like talking about money and how much value things have is a really tough conversation to have, especially in this group where we're not into budget knives. We're into Spydercos. They're not a Holt, whatever.
Right.
But the amount of time and effort, like when you watch, I really like Brian Brown. Do you know him? He's a custom maker.
I don't know him.
He's awesome, dude. He's a member. He's been on the show. He actually won Tactical Knife of the Year at Blade Show this year.
Oh wow, nice.
So he makes really cool knives. He doesn't make a lot of knives, but what's really neat is he documents, like on Facebook in his group. He's like, "Oh shit, I just etched this Damascus blade today," or "Oh, I screwed up this." He calls his model the Jaeger. I screwed it up, so now it's a mini Jaeger. And just watching, it's like, dude, how mad would you be if you put legit worked for an entire week on something, and you profited like $200? Like, it's what he does for a living, and his prices are still reasonable given all those things he has to do and the time suck it is to make a knife. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of makers that are making really good money, but there's a lot of makers that these guys aren't just rolling in dough by any means. Like,
yeah, I think like I talked with this with some of my friends, and I'm like, every time you go to a knife show, you see these makers, and they're like, oh, money is no object, right? They'll go out for like steak dinners, and they'll go out for a party, and they'll be in the pit drinking the whole night. And it seems like there's like, oh, there's money. But the rest of the time, when they're back home in their shop, they might be having like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and ramen noodles, but it's like, when they're at a show and they make a few sales, it's like, yeah, we can burn through all this cash.
Makes sense. It totally makes sense. And I mean, it's like, it's the event for you guys. It's the event for the knife industry. It's why not have fun?
Yeah, and a lot of guys, like, I go to shows really just to shake hands, right? And if I'm able to sell at a show, great. At least maybe I have a chance to break even. But it's not the money maker. The money maker is me sitting at home fulfilling orders, and it's like, most of the time, like, there are shows that I went to that were terrible, but I felt like it was important because there were people there that I could show my knives to, and really they could handle them, and that's really where it is a lot of times you see a picture of a knife online and you're like, wow, that looks so great. And then you get it and it's like, not as good. So people are very, very cautious, especially when the price point is a little bit higher. They're like, man, this knife is $400. I don't know if it's as good as the picture. And so I really want to give everyone an opportunity to handle my knives before they can, say, oh, no, I'm not going to do that. But if they give me a chance to come by my booth or table and say, and check it out, then at least I have a shot, And
This, yeah. Like I came to your booth at Blade Show this year. At first, this is a knife. I don't know why. I think it looks absolutely amazing, but it didn't catch my eye the first time I saw it. Then I handled it, and it feels the tick when the detent clicks close. It's so good. It's high pitch. It's great, and I wouldn't have known that unless I handled it, and neither would anyone else. Like you just see, like, oh, it's another carbon fiber titanium knife, which is nice.
Yeah.
But then you handle it, and you really understand. Like this thing has, softened jimping. It's got a one-piece carbon fiber scale. The backspacer is part of the scale. So, like this was a solid piece of carbon fiber, right? And you milled out the inside.
Yep.
Like the steps and the little details that go into your knives. Like this looks very simple and clean, but it's even stuff like the pocket clip. Like, is that a Zerk ball by any chance? Or what is that?
What?
Oh, it's just the clip is unique. It's like really cool clip.
So the reason why I put the clip there, have you ever open that knife and handle that knife? Okay, like hold it really hard in your hand. Like that clip doesn't bite into your palm.
Not at all.
And that's one of the things that I kind of like think about a lot when I draw up a knife. And where to put the clip it takes me a long time. I mean, sometimes people like that's why a lot of my clips look different from each model to each model. It's because one of the things that really makes me not want to carry a knife is if the clip bites into my palm.
That's literally my biggest pet peeve on it. And I can't own a knife if that is the case.
Yeah. And it's like a lot of companies, they'll just put like the same clip on every knife, which I understand, price point. They're doing that. But I have the privilege of doing something on a different level. So I take the time to really do the clip differently and to actually experiment with the position of the clip. And it's one of the things that I feel like, oh, thank God that clip is not biting someone's hand, because I know then that they will actually carry it.
Well, what's funny is that so the Warrior clip, the first time I held it, it's pointy at the end. And so I was thinking like, oh, this is going to bug me. It's going to feel weird. You don't even feel it when you hold it. You don't feel the clip. Like it just disappears. It like follows the seam of your palm. It's just like, it sits in your hand. You can squeeze it as tight as you want. It's not going to poke you as long as you're holding it like a knife. It's impressive because I thought this was going to bug me when I looked at it and touched the tip of it, but it doesn't at all. It just is there.
Yeah. So it's like these little things is what I work on a lot. The design, the little touches. That's what I focus my energy on. And it's not like the knife shape is the knife shape. Materials is materials. I want to put all of the best things together and really enhance how someone holds a knife. Thank you, Sean.
I'm just going through. You keep on going. I'm just looking at these comments real quick. We're getting people.
Okay.
People are just hitting us up, so I'm trying to go through them and throw some on the screen.
Oh, cool. Thank you, Sam.
And then there's a whole conversation going on about ramen noodles. Apparently, that we're
okay. What's your favorite ramen noodle, and where should I get them?
Okay, Marunchan brand. It's got to be Marunchan, and it's got to be Oriental flavoring. And then you need to take, I'm gonna say it, a healthy amount of cheddar cheese and melt it all over it.
What? You do that when the next time you do that, you send me a picture of that.
Okay,
so I can see how it looks.
I may have done it without cheddar cheese in my life 5 times. I've eaten hundreds of bowls with cheddar cheese all over it.
I don't even have cheddar cheese in my fridge.
I must. I don't know what it means, but we always have cheese. We go through a lot of cheese. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but we do. And it goes in my ramen. What's your ramen of choice?
I it's a Thai brand, which I have no idea what the name is now, and it's a spicy seafood shrimp seafood mix. So I like everything spicy. Okay, like I could eat decently spicy food. I'm not gonna say like I could like the stuff that's like the super hot sauce. Like I'm not into that. I like spice for flavor, not just the intense heat. But it has to have a little bit of spice in it for me to actually like it because I feel like that kick is necessary. You know, yeah.
Ooh, I think we got your answer. Is it
No sham. Hmm.
got 2 people suggesting that that might be the one. Either that's the one that the Thai one you don't know the name, or that's just one that 2 people voted for is good.
Okay, I gotta write that down, man. Jeez.
Well, these guys are versed on all sorts of important topics
I
of the
know,
world.
and I love that thread that you started yesterday, like the stuff you like that isn't knives. I took a lot of notice at some of the brands because I'm like, yeah, that's pretty good.
I went through it. That thread's got almost 600 comments on it now, and I've read through it several times. I just like. Obviously, I got into knives because I like stuff, and
Mhm.
when I first started, when I realized I could go on Amazon when I was drunk and buy knives, and then 2 days later, like 14 things from China would show up at my door that were all crap. But I got so excited. Every one of them I'd open up, and I didn't know how to flick open a knife. I'd hold it and like, cool, got a knife. The first one of the first knives I bought was this little stubby Kershaw that was tall and fat and red and black with a short, stubby spear point blade, and it had a wrench built into the clip. The tip of the clip was like a wrench.
Mhm.
I thought it was so cool. It was like $9, and that was one of the nicest knives I owned at the time.
I'm sure you own many more now. You
A few
know,
more now. A
yeah,
few
yeah.
more now. But
So,
that's I've been
so
into this been seriously into this hobby for 5 years on the internet. And in that time, though, just like seeing what the best is and what the newest and the best and seeing stuff improve
mhm.
is crazy. And if you take into like account like how long knives have been around and you look at the last 10 years, like the last minute on the calendar of how long knives have been here,
Yeah,
everything has happened.
yeah.
And everything happens every 2 years. Like steels change. M390 is now not even exotic. It's just it's you better.
It's on everything.
It's
It's
on
on everything.
everything.
Yeah.
But I guess what I was getting at is like the best. Like I like seeing things get better. I like always knowing what I have is gonna last, which is
Right.
it's a FOMO thing. It's like I don't want to miss out on something that's better than something else.
Right.
So the last random quest I went on to find the best version, I went on a quest to find the best black t-shirt. This is the best black t-shirt. It's from House of Blanks. It is just a great t-shirt. I don't know how else to say it. It's such a great t-shirt that we even got a promo code for the group so people can go buy these for cheaper. It's
Wow.
MPM2P3 for 15% off at houseofblanks.com. Because
Wow.
I just really like these clothes and I like sharing information about
Mhm.
just things that make me excited. So I started that thread. That thread was so I could take something away from it, but it was really because I just wanted to show people all these things that get me excited. And um, I like the group. Well, I love the group, but what I like about the group is that we could have that kind of stuff up there. We can have a post about your knives. We can have a
Yeah.
post about a PM2. We can have a post about all the stuff that was going on yesterday. I don't want to talk about. Um, it's been talked about enough, but it's neat that all these things can come together. That we all kind of like share the same principles of what we think are good in life, or to some level, like sharing interests beyond just knives.
Right. Yeah. It's true because that's. I mean, I think that's the connection piece. That that everyone is looking for. Really, like I've met people who want nothing to do with customers, and I myself am like, no, 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 no. I want to engage with my customers because they kind of tell me like how I can do better, right? And I put up like threads on my group, and I'm like, tell me what you want to see. Tell me how I can like really, because in my mind I already have a formula for next year, but it doesn't mean that what you tell me I won't try to input, or maybe the following year I can do it, you know. And it is one of these things that I'm always trying to make my product better. That is like the double-edged sword, because sometimes I kind of wish like I could do something like a PM2, which the whole world knows about, but I keep changing the same thing over and over again and adding it. So I'm just like, you know, how
It's
can I
built
wait?
in. It's not obsolescence, obviously, but it's built in. Like, well, now I gotta get the new one too. It's built in new market.
Right.
Can't just have the old one. Gotta get the new one.
Yeah.
They made a new PM2. They made. We've talked about this in the show before. I'm just gonna say it again. There is no PM3. It's a Para 3. But if they made an actual PM3, it'd be a paramilitary 3. It'd be a big knife. If they made a paramilitary 3, I don't know what I would do with all my PM2s. I honestly don't know. I would be like, this is obsolete bullshit now. It's not even a good knife.
Now, how many of those do you have?
Now I have about 40.
I know you got rid of a bunch of them,
I
right?
got rid of about 60 or more.
Wow.
But I have 40 that I'm keeping. About a dozen or 15 are customized.
Yeah.
And then I just kept. I was in a bad cycle. I mean, I'm the one that pushes this, so
Yeah.
it's only fair that I participate in it. But I was getting every single PM2 that came out, no matter what, and usually two. Sometimes I get four, and I have these reasons in my head of like, I got to carry one,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not really going to carry it. I'm going to say I'm going to carry it. I got to keep one in my safe just in case they don't make more of that color G10. Um, I got to customize one because you got to have a different knife with a different letter on the blade if it's custom. And I got to have one just in case. Like that was the level of my obsession with just getting these piles of way too many. And I mean, someone up there in the comments said I'm rolling in money. I was broke as shit in March. I had like less than $1,000 in my bank account, and I was not looking at being getting any more anytime soon.
You,
So
you you have a great family.
I do. I mean, that's my knife fund money or whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, eventually, just the releases started coming so fast, and my
yeah.
spending habits didn't change, and it just caught up to me.
Yeah.
And so I just did sell off of like the extras, and then it was just the extras. And
Mm-hmm.
then this last sell off I did it like 3 weeks ago. I did probably 30, 40, 50 knives. I'm not sure. But they were ones that were unique. They were like my only one, but it was stuff like I literally have never put this in my pocket. I don't think I'm going to miss it. And it was still hard. It was still really hard to part with things. They're your things. You just
Yeah.
mentally catalog it like I own that, and to like sell like a pack of wood Endura, like a knife center. It was an expensive knife. I'm not going to use it. I don't need it. Someone else will like it, but it still is hard to let go of. And so letting go of 60 of my favorite knife of a PM2 was I don't think I'll regret it, but I'm afraid I'm going to regret it. I know I won't, but there's just that little bit of anxiety left that
Right.
what if I needed a S35 VN brown handled black blade? No, I don't. And I tell myself that I'm like, I don't. I don't. I literally don't. I'm okay. I'll use my Maximate. I think Maximate's better than S35 VN. Like it'll be okay.
Where do you get Maximate from?
Uh You mean what brand do I get Maximate from?
Yeah. No. Like, who's the manufacturer from
Oh,
Max?
it's Carpenter.
Because I've seen pictures of Maximate, and I've seen like it being like it has spots on the blade and stuff like that. Is it a carbon steel?
Oh yeah.
Okay, because
Here's
that
my
was
Maximate
not something
blade.
I knew.
There's my Maximate blade.
Okay.
I mean, I have a lot that are pristine, but it patinas quite well. But it holds a edge forever and a day. Just don't twist it. It's
Yes.
like the most brittle steel.
Oh my god.
So M390 is probably a better choice all around. But yeah.
And that's the thing. Like I asked, like I don't want anyone to abuse my knives, but I also want them to use my knives, right? And that's the thing. Like, how do we actually know? Like, because we have there are a lot of people who debate me on steel, right? And I'm like, have you put that knife through the test? Seriously, I mean, have you gone out and actually used that knife? And most of the time, it's like they've cut a few envelopes with it, cut certain things, but it's not like I want you to cut like 1,000 piece of hemp rope and tell me like what the edge is, because then I get a gauge of how well it held up, but I don't want you to pry with it, and no one should be doing that, and I'll use it as a screwdriver. But like I feel like we are at this like renaissance of like of a knife where we have like the best of the best, but no one's actually using it, right? Like most of the
I'm
time,
guilty of it. I mean, I'm 100% guilty of it. Like I use, just like everyone, I have the knives that like I go to. If I'm gonna go break down cardboard, I'm gonna grab this
Yep.
K390 patina sharpened Dragonfly. That's my only knife with the lanyard on it. Like, because I actually use the lanyard to pull it out of my sweatpants, and I actually don't care about the blade. It started rusting, so I threw it mustard on it. But I have used this. I just haven't used this. I don't know. I don't have. I obviously like using stuff. I like knowing stuff's going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
But it's okay if you're a person that's into knives and just likes the object. To me,
Right.
like I hate when people get on their high horse about use your shit. Oh, use your shit.
Oh
Like
no, not like that. Yeah.
no. I'm not saying you are. But I'm just saying like I use my shit. I use my shit to take photos.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
makes me happy. That's what
Like
matters.
like a lot of times when I see someone like they take a picture of like themselves cutting a steak, but if you're cutting a steak on a ceramic plate, your edge is gonna get dull real fast. Like
And there's steak knives are serrated for a reason, people. I mean, come on.
and that's just something to think about when you're doing that. And then like I want people to use their knives so they can give me feedback. Like, hey, this would be better if you sharpened it to this geometry, or if you had this grind. I don't expect anyone to ever use like the Damascus blades, because that if you scratched it up, then we have to like go refinish the whole thing. It's a whole process to do it. But they are made to be used, if you ever want it. But
Your
yeah.
knives are very functional. Like this is simple knife.
Yeah.
But functionally you can chop with it without your hand hitting the ground. Like it's super comfortable. It might not look ergonomic, but this feels fantastic in your hand. It's just a straight handle, but it's got a nice curved spine, and the angle you hold it at's great. The jimping's in the right spot. Like, yeah, this is asking to be. I want to go cut stuff like this. I would go use this in the kitchen. I know that's the point of it, but since my cooking is limited to eating ice cream 4 times a day, and today I made a hot dog. That's all I cooked today. I
Well,
want to use it. I
if
want
you
to use a
come to
knife.
Florida, we'll cook. Okay.
What's that?
If you come to my house in Florida, we'll cook.
Okay.
I just got a new pellet grill, so I can't wait to use it.
What kind?
It's a Cuisinart Twin Oak. So one
Oh, wow.
side is a pellet grill, electric, and the other side is propane. So that's a good best of both worlds. Because I like the propane just because when we have a bad hurricane here, the power goes out for 4 days. So that's when so I want the access to use the propane during that time
Yeah.
and not depend on electricity.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I can't wait to try it. So I've heard so many good things about pellet grills and how it gives it like, that smoky flavor and stuff. And I love grilled steak. So yeah.
I have a Traeger, the cheapest one, pellet grill. I've had it
Well,
for
those are great.
I've had it mine for 10 years, and I used to cook on that. I used to make like jerky and smoke stuff. It's if I wasn't so lazy, I would use it all the time. It tastes so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it just makes me want to cook more, Plus, being an ex chef, you kind of like I'm very critical of like restaurants, especially if the food wasn't good, I never go back again. It's like if they're good, I'll always go back. I'll always support them. But if they're bad, I'm just like, oh man, no.
My hobby before knives was food, not cooking food, just eating food. I was a Yelp asshole before everyone else was a Yelp asshole. Like, so I'd go on there. I I ate a lot of restaurants in Portland, and what I do is I come home, get a bottle of wine, and just go be a dickhead online and complain about things. And I went back through a couple of years ago, and I read some of my reviews. I deleted most of them. I'm like
That's very nice.
unnecessarily critical of people's business.
I mean, I love the restaurants in Portland. I mean,
They're good.
I mean, it's like such a neighborhood feel for a big city. Like the first time I visited, I was like, how come on Google Maps it shows that walking is faster than driving? And I couldn't understand. I'm like, literally, like if you were driving, it would take you like twice the time as walking
Yeah.
on that.
I live in Northeast Portland, and it's a newly nice neighborhood over the last 10 years, but it's the street I live on is called Alberta. It's just restaurants, and I can walk there, and I don't take advantage of that. I do get in my car because I'm lazy, like I said, but I like being able to walk there sometimes with my wife when she says I'm being lazy. Uh, it's great, and the food's fantastic. There's a lot of really, really good chefs.
Mm-hmm.
COVID sucked. It really screwed up our food scene. Like my 3 favorite restaurants all closed.
Yeah. I mean,
And
a lot of times people don't understand restaurants, they live check to check. Because whatever money they make, they're either paying staff or it's going back into replenishing the products they use every day, right? Which is like putting more orders for meat in, which is the most expensive, vegetables, wine or other drinks, and labor costs is huge, for restaurants. And if you're in a good area, rent is a big factor, So those things are just killer for, and if you have no customers coming in, yeah.
yeah, a lot of places just closed temporarily. There's this place called Ox. My wife went there without me. As soon as they opened back up, kind of pissed about it. Not gonna lie. I don't care that it was her birthday dinner with her girlfriends. I still am upset that she went there without me.
She didn't bring you a doggy bag home?
No, but so it's like the last restaurant standing of like my top tier Portland places that it's like at least Ox is still open now, and I can go get like a ridiculous Argentinian steakhouse,
Oh man.
flat iron steak or whatever. Like, yeah, Portland food's good. It's a really neighborhood feeling place. I like it here. It's it's interesting the reputation the city gets. It's a cool place to live, and
Yeah.
it's enjoyable, and you see whatever you see on the news.
I
I
mean,
don't
we see like just the negative on the news usually,
Yeah.
right?
I live
So
here and I don't even see it, and I live here. I mean, we do
right,
have a homeless problem, but
yeah,
um yeah, it's a cool place to live, and food is what got me to move. Literally, food is the reason I live in this neighborhood. Like,
Yeah.
it's why I came to a place that's walkable. It's like I used to drink. I don't drink anymore, but Alberta Street is packed with bars, and that was
Wow.
just go down the street.
Yeah.
That's how Portland is. It's fun, and
Yeah. I
I
mean,
like food. I just never went into the side where I actually make it. I just criticized it.
well, well, I mean, I like to make it because it kind of like sound like living in Florida, like where I live is Palm Bay. Most of the ethnic restaurants that I grew up with in New York City, they're not here. Like down here, you can find all kinds of barbecue and fried foods, and every chain that you ever thought of is down here. But like the individual ethnic foods or something specialty, or even like dim sum, I can't find it here. Cannot. And if I do, they're not good.
So we're going to take a quick sidetrack. Please explain to everyone what dim sum is, because most people don't know. Because I go there all the time. My wife's Vietnamese, and she takes me to dim sum places all the time.
Yep.
But most people don't realize that they've seen it on TV or what it's called.
Okay, so dim sum would be the Chinese or Asian equivalent of what Spanish tapas is. The small plates of food. And traditionally, in places like Hong Kong, you would go to what is called a dim sum house. Okay. And there you'll find all these tables of people eating, and they'll have like carts that have a steam tray, and they'll have like bamboo uh, plates that have like little plates of food inside, and they're steaming through the bamboo. And you can have everything from chicken feet to spare ribs to, all things from like soybean wrapped chicken with mushrooms and, every type of things but it'll be small portions. So let's say you go there with 3 or 4 friends, you guys might have like, 10 or 15 plates, and you'll be stuffed to the max with all kinds of awesome tasting food. And I miss that so much because I love to go to dim sum.
And it will be like $12.
Yeah, yeah, it won't be crazy, So it's like, just a great experience. And I have to drive to Orlando for dim sum, and it's okay. It's okay. It's not like New York City, and it's not like the other cities and stuff, because there's a much bigger Asian demographic, obviously, you know.
So Dan's a guy you probably know. Dan lives in Australia. Dan is the biggest Spyderco collector in the Southern Hemisphere, I believe, is his claim to fame.
Wow.
But he lives in Australia. He comes from Asian descent, and I don't know what he's saying in this sentence though.
So I love ha gao. Ha in Cantonese is shrimp, and gao is dumpling.
Oh, okay.
So it's the shrimp dumpling, and siu mai is the pork equivalent of it. The pork and shrimp dumpling.
That one is the one I like. That one's good.
Yeah, and the glutinous rice. So glutinous rice is sweet rice.
Okay.
And they do it in a variety of ways. One of my favorite ways is they take the rice and they add chicken and shiitake mushroom, and they wrap it in lotus leaf and then steam it with some sauce. And it's, oh my God, it's delicious. Other ways they've done it, they will stir fry it with some pork sausage and some seasonings, and they actually have it in a bowl, and they flip the bowl upside down on the plate, and so it takes a round shape when they serve it to you. But it's like if you eat like 2 of those, you'll want to take a nap afterwards because it's sweet rice. It's just like so much carbs and sugar,
When it's interesting how you introduced what shumai was. You started with the dish that I always pretend doesn't exist. I'm like, oh yeah, my mother-in-law will order 4 plates of chicken feet for herself.
Wait, have you tried the chicken feet? I'm sure you have tried the chicken feet.
I won't do it. I can't.
Oh,
I
Oh
can't
my
do it.
god! So
I watch my mother-in-law sit there and it's like,
I would. She would give you so much credit if one day you were like, "Let me try that."
my wife would freak out. She would lose her
She
mind.
she would be like, "What?"
My wife is critical of my hot wing eating skills. Because I eat a hot wing. I eat it pretty good. I get what I need to get. I get the good stuff. I get a little crunchy
Yeah,
bits.
yeah.
When my wife sees my plate of like done, she goes
Uh-huh.
through the bones and she gets the rest of it, and then it's done. Then it's done.
That's kind of gross.
I agree. 100% agree.
Oh my god. Yeah.
But yeah, that's our interesting. I just wanted these people to know what dim sum was. That was a bit of a sidetrack, but dim sum is delicious. Look it up in your town.
Oh yeah.
Um, it'll be at a very traditional Chinese restaurant. It's not going to be
And
at Panda Express. It's going
if
to
you
be at a
go on
real
a
Chinese restaurant.
Sunday, just expect to wait like for an hour to get a table because everybody goes on Sunday. So if you go a different day, you may not have to wait. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yes, this is a breakfast food, by the way. People might not realize that. And
Anyway,
dinner,
it's
anytime.
it's more of a brunch. So we don't have it at like 7 a.m. We usually get there around anywhere from 9 to noon. And dim sum will be served around that time. But if you get there like 7, they won't have anything to serve you. And in China, that's also called late dim sum or nighttime dim sum. Because I went there and David took me to a dim sum house at night and it was packed. And it was like, there were all these dishes and everything. And I was just like, and they were different. They were different from the ones I was traditionally used to. So it's a different menu for nighttime dim sum than daytime dim sum, which I had no idea. Yeah.
That is interesting.
Yeah, and they had they have like a tea server who offered us a tea service where like we pick a traditional tea and she would be there to brew it for us and serve us the tea, and it was like that was her job. Like she's only there to like do the tea service. I'm like, wow, this is pretty extravagant, like nobody had to serve me tea before, but yeah, that was her job to like brew the tea for us and to serve it to us. And I'm like, yeah,
Dan can't. He's Australian. He eats Vegemite.
I don't do chicken feet. Oh, Dan, do you do durian, Dan?
Ooh. I went to a birthday party at my in-law's house. I don't know why this is a thing. And I really wanted a piece of cake. It was durian cake. And it just like, I'm sure it tasted good, but it smelled like durian.
Okay, get over that smell. This it's like cheese, right? So I used to be a French chef, okay? And French cheeses stink to a whole high heaven, okay? But as soon as you get over that and you try, you're like, okay, this don't taste exactly like it smells, so I'm okay.
If it tasted exactly like it smells, it tastes like a fart, is what it tastes
Right.
like.
It tastes like wet socks and cat piss. It's what durian smells like to me. Okay.
Oh, yeah. We got a fight breaking out in the comments. Just saying. We better address this. About chicken wings. I'm team drum. I pay an extra $1.50.
No. Flats are the way to go. Flats.
Those ones are the ones I leave a lot of leftovers on.
Dude, yo, oh my God. Oh my God. Flats are always juicier.
But drumsticks, I just go. I know. I found a way to eat flats. You like grab the bottom and you like push it up and it all comes out.
No, it's just like, and all the meat is off.
I don't know. I pay extra at Wingstop to go all drums. Like that's how much I'm into drums.
No, I do the opposite. I pay extra to go all flats.
Oh, flats are the not
the drums.
Not the drumstick.
Not the drums and not the portion with no meat.
Jason, that doesn't work unless you make noise. I can bring you on. I'll bring you on just so you can say, Alexa, play a loud fart. It's broken, Jason. Sorry.
Sorry, I couldn't understand, but I may have a few recommendations. First,
Oh,
there's a skill called fart sounds. You can say, try it, or hear next.
Alexa, stop. That's an ongoing theme. Is we ask Alexa stuff.
oh, cool. So
Usually it's to fart.
if we ever go to Wingstop, we'll just get the regular portion and we'll just trade. I'll give you all the drums and I'll take all your flats.
That's what my wife does, but we realize that we don't eat the equal amount of food. So like the idea of drums and flats is great, except for the fact that I want more wings than her and there's not enough. So we just go all drums. She just goes,
Oh, I've been known to slaughter some wings there, like an obscene mess of wings. Yeah.
I'm just
Thanks,
gonna say
John.
this. Yeah. I'm a messy eater. Like really messy. Drums are just easier for me to handle.
Yeah.
When I eat pho, it is comical because I get my overly stupidly large bowl that I'm not going to finish a
Oh
pho.
yeah. Oh yeah.
What I do is I take about 14, maybe 15 napkins and I build a dam. I build it a big U-shaped dam around the front of the table because I be spilling it. I'm going to spill it. I'm going to
See,
spill pho.
I'm I'm the only adult person in the Vietnamese restaurant that wears a bib when he eats pho, right? Like everyone looks at me like this guy doesn't look like a chow anymore. Why is he putting that napkin in his shirt and putting it in front of his shirt? Like I'm like, because I don't want like little dots on my shirt, like low. Yeah.
I agree.
I've been known to down some fur. It is good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, Alexa does that. Makes things too hard. This is another theme that we have going through the show. If you haven't picked up on it, we're talking about gummy bears a lot.
I love gummy bears.
Do you like the Albanese gummy bears or the Haribo gummy bears?
Haribo.
Really bold. Have you had the Albanese gummy bears?
I did, and I couldn't really find much difference. I did.
I wonder if they were hardened. When they're fresh out of a fresh bag, ooh. But yeah, Haribo, it's the classic. It's what's been around. I get it. I get it.
I mean, I've been having those since I was in 8th grade. Pho and banh mi, exactly.
Banh mi.
Another thing I can't find over here, banh mi.
Oh, what's interesting, and I think it's not funny. It's just the way Portland is there's a neighborhood that's 40 blocks that way. And it is called 82nd Street. And everyone just thinks of 82nd as that's where there's used car lots and there's like adult video stores and all that stuff. Except for it's a very, very large Asian community. And it's very, very Vietnamese. And holy crap, that street has some good ass food on it. Like a banh mi, guys, is like a Vietnamese sub sandwich, but they're like $2.86. Like they're stupid inexpensive.
And the bread is like fresh bread that was baked that day.
Yep.
And it's really like crispy and crunchy. And you kind of like it's like a flavor explosion because you got like that liver pate, you got the pickled vegetables, you got that cilantro, you got some pork, whatever in there, or chicken.
Lemongrass pork, put some sriracha on it.
So it's like all these flavors like all at once, and it's just like it just like no one ever thinks like it makes sense, but once they try, it's like I bet you the original person who came up with that didn't have anything to make a full meal with, and they're like, fuck it, I'm just gonna throw whatever I have into this bread.
They're delicious.
Yeah.
So I warned you that we're gonna quickly devolve into just nonsensical non-knife talk. So if you want to redirect it to knives, don't stop.
I'm okay. I'm okay. I can talk about anything.
Let's talk about some knives.
Sure.
So I don't forget. What is this will be a tough one. What are at least some of your favorite designs that you've ever done?
Oof. Well, you have several right there.
You like the field duty, right? That's one of your ones that's
Yes. So this is like my most sought after knife right now, which is the Field Duty with marble carbon fiber handles, right?
yeah.
And there are guys who are like just built the same one over and will buy it. And I'm like, oh geez, I can't do that. I want to change something about it. But it's just like, yeah, I mean that action is just like, you know, and it's one of these that because the opening hole is so big that you can use your index finger to flick it out. And it's the same with the cuff that you have there.
Yeah.
So I never thought, like, when I came up with this, I was just like, what would be something that I can carry when I just want to do a work knife? And I came out with this, and I like, I've always liked like when the blades are bigger than the handle. It has always been easier for me to use a knife where the blade is wider than the handle, like a chef knife.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna redo these, but it's gonna be a little bit of changes. Okay, I might take about 1/4 inch off the blade. There will be it will be a liner lock.
Oh wow. That's a bolster lock now, right?
It's a bolster lock now.
Okay.
And it's gonna have bolsters in a liner lock.
Ooh, okay.
And I will, instead of putting the clip back here in the backspacer, it will be inside the backspacer.
Oh
So
wow.
you won't see the
There'll be 0 screws then. Not just the one. Won't be any visible clip screws then.
Yeah. Well, no, you still will, because you have to put the screw in from outside
okay.
here.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So those are the only changes. But beyond that, the size, the width, it's the same. Just the blade length, I'm shortening by 1/4 inch because some people have thought that this knife was too big for them. So that would be, the next one. But yeah.
That's typically you used to do one run of knives.
Yeah. Yeah.
How many? So like the cuff. So I have a cuff 4.0. It's in carbon fiber.
Yes.
So you took that design, went to Riot. How many are typically in a batch? Or are they different sizes depending on the design? Or
I have been lucky in the sense that they will let me do like a run of, let's say, 300 knives, and I can do different handle scales, so I have different color choices, right? And you can also be like, so I did like black and green G10 and then carbon fiber. And you can do other things too if you want, like inlays, if you want like different finishes on blade, if you wanted some that were like all black, they could PVD coat it. So those are all options, and they're available but you like, I don't like a shiny black finish. I actually prefer like a stone wash black PVD, because I think that will wear in better. Like a shiny finish, I mean, it just looks
usually a shiny finish. The only time I've seen it done well was today on a Koenig that had a hand rub DLC blade. It looked really good, very shiny, but usually it looks like spray paint when it's shiny, if it's not like done well.
Yeah. So, and I like the stone wash, and a lot of people do like stone wash just because, like, a lot of these bolsters bead plastic, right? But as soon as you put it in your pocket, you're gonna see some snail trails, And I'm okay with snail trails, but there are guys who are like, "Oh, I got a scratch on my bolster," I'm like, well, good. You actually put your knife in your pocket.
True. It's true. That's, I think, part of what I fell in love with about customizing PM2s was the scales aren't, the scales are extra. They're not a part of the knife kind of thing. So if I scratch a scale, well, they're smooth so I can sand them down.
Yeah.
But it's the feeling of like, but my knife is not perfect anymore. When you customize it, it's not perfect. It's not original. It's
your knife.
It's your knife.
Yeah, and that's what I think. Like I like someone who actually feels like it's their knife more than just, hey, this is a brand new knife in the package, because you've never used it. It's great, but you have never even, the reason why you bought it, you have never put it through the test. You have never even cut anything and got a scratch on it.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
not saying it's not heartbreaking when you get a scratch on a knife. I don't wish that misfortune on anybody,
yeah,
but
like
it happens.
this is an eraser and has a bronze anno stonewash now. And this was the knife I used in my garden because I grow a bunch of fruit trees.
Yeah.
And I scrape a bunch of like 55-gallon drums with it. And, I put it through a refinishing on the blade. And then my friend Alan resharpened it for me. And then the handles, I beat blasted it and I stonewashed it.
Nice.
You know?
Looks new to me.
Yeah,
For
I
here,
mean,
anyway.
that's yeah, you're gonna see some fine scratches, but so what? It's a knife.
Yeah.
And now when I go out, I still carry this thing because before it was looking worn. It was like there was a like when you're cutting into like the 55-gallon drums, it will scratch the blade a little bit, But after I refinished it, you could barely see the scratches. You could barely see, the scratches were polished out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, and then like a lot of times remember like I said how tight knit this community is. So sometimes I see something on another maker's knife, and I ask them for permission to use. Like on the 15, the XV, this type of pocketing was done by Michael Birch,
Okay.
where he pocketed the front of the scale and then put a bunch of holes in it.
Okay.
And I asked him. I was like, "Hey, I have an idea to do that. I'm not going to do exactly the way you do it, but since you came up with the idea, can I use it?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure, of course." And that's what I love about this community. And this was one of the first nights that I rounded the back on, and this was an intro.
Whoa, that's integral with a. It's pretty fancy.
Yeah.
So that was 15. So that's one you did 3 years ago.
Yeah. And the clip follows the shape of the handle.
Ooh, I do like that.
And
That's cool.
it sits in this meat part of your palm, and you don't really feel the clip
Nice.
because of that.
So I saw this the other day as well. You don't only work with Riot, because I saw a very expensive knife with your name on it the other day
Ooh.
on Recon 1.
Yes, yeah.
So is that a one-off? Is that just one of one, or is that something you do work with high-end makers to just do very small runs?
Usually it will be 10 pieces and a prototype. So there'll be 11 altogether. And I've kept all the prototypes. And so there's 10 out there in the world.
Oh, wow.
And at one point, depending on which maker it is, a lot of it has gone to Russia. And they've been sold. And it's like there are, like when you go to a knife show, sometimes when there are open bids, there are proxies there, like people who bid on these knives for other people, and they will in turn make like a profit selling it to the people who ask them to bid on it for them. So in a way, I feel like, oh my God, I feel sorry for the guy who get it at the end, because they're paying maybe sometimes maybe like 3-4 times the price that I originally sold it for, but it's like, I hope they feel like they got the product value, and I hope they treasure it, because I know it's some of it has gone for really a lot more money than I could ever thought of.
I mean, Russians don't dick around with their knives. They make some crazy knives themselves.
Yeah.
Like some of these Shiro custom divisions with, like, I saw one today that had M398 steel, which no one has M398 steel in the United States yet. And it was just stunning, but it's like a $3,000 or $4,000 knife. It was fancy knife.
Yeah, I mean, I love what they have done for their market. And it's like, yeah, they have the Shiros, but then they have like the really like super high-end custom division ones, and people go gaga for that stuff, they love it. And it's like, yeah, that's awesome, to be able to take your base model and then go higher and then go higher and then go higher, and that's really like where we all want to be,
Yeah. They definitely do that. Just their starting point is still pretty up there to start with, but yeah, like I have an F3 right here. This is a cool F3. It's an F3NS. It's got Marvel carbon fiber scales or whatever.
Yeah,
but they make this a $5,000 version of this knife too. That's insane.
Yeah, and there will be someone lining up to buy it,
Yeah.
and that's great. That's awesome. Yeah. So I've been very lucky to have been able to work with a lot of good makers, and really it was, I would equate it to luck, and also like just me able to approach them and talk to them, and really like, come at a time when there wasn't Instagram yet. There was Facebook, but there wasn't Instagram, and Facebook was nowhere near what it was now.
Yeah.
Right. And so, and I kind of see like where it could go, where like everything is just sold to individuals, like right here, not to like a dealer and stuff like that. And I think that's how like we're going to see a lot of makers gear their products towards just their customers directly, and it is a great way to be able to interact with someone who appreciates your work. And at the same time, that person who purchased it can then also get in touch with me whenever they need anything service on their knives.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm not some imaginary figure on the web that they can never talk to or send an email and get their knife repaired,
Or even like if there was somebody on the other end, exactly, the ins and outs of the knife. So it's not like they're like, oh, my detent ball fell out. Like, okay, that's pretty legitimate. I know what that is.
Right.
Send it to me. We'll get it fixed or whatever. But
and
I've really enjoyed. It's not that I've moved away from Spyderco collecting. Well, I have moved away from collecting, but I've moved towards knives like yours because I've got to meet you. I've got to interact with you. I got to buy your knives from you. And it does change the experience when it's like, no, it's just a person. There's a person behind this. And it's the same thing with like my Koenigs. Like it's meeting Bill and whatever. It's like part of the experience knowing that it's like there's a person there that stands behind what this is.
Yeah. And I've known Bill and his sister since the start. When they built that folder that could be taken apart with all
I handled that. Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that's pretty good engineering there. And then then after the areas, they just like never built the other folder again. And I'm like, to see like how they started and grow to where they are now. I mean, yeah, it's a pretty awesome story.
Yeah.
And it's not just like them doing it, but you have to imagine like they have to have a good customer service, right? They have to be taking care of their customers, and if there are products that are not are needing repair, they have to take care of that. So, but that is where the real business part comes in. It's not selling a knife. Like a lot of people can design a knife. Like you see a lot of designers now, and they're designing knives. They design all kinds of knives. But the real business part is when that knife needs service.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of brands suffer the wrath of Spyderco. Spyderco is still trying to course correct on their 4-year-old warranty policy. People still think is in effect. Like that's how much like the service piece of this. Like people are like, oh, I can't even take apart my Spyderco. In 2014, you couldn't take apart your Spyderco. You can now. They've addressed some of this stuff. They're coming forward, but it's part of their reputation is like
Right.
their warranty department's crap, and that's something that comes up often, and we have to address it and say, give it a chance, whatever. But it sticks around and it sticks to your name.
Now, I've done the same policy. It's because I got a lot of my folders had titanium hardware, right? And titanium compared to steel is around the 40 Rockwell, as steel is in the 60s if it's heat treated. Most of the time, people don't understand that titanium have properties that like to scratch into other metals. So when they're taking apart a pivot and they're not gentle with it, or they have one side locking, like I have a tabletop vise that has a T8 bit holding it, and I put the non lock side down on it. Okay. Then with a T8 Torx bit in hand, I turn the other side. So one side isn't moving at all, and I'm just turning the other side to loosen. Well, a lot of guys will just do one side, and they'll just be free spinning until a point where it mangles itself.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, I got this knife this way. I'm like, there's no way you got this knife this way, but I'll change it out for you. Okay. How about that? I'll change it out for you.
We had one member. I've got to deal with that. We had one member who ordered a knife, which admittedly is known to have some QC issues. It's a Spyderco. It's an exclusive. It was run a couple years ago. It didn't sell well. It went on deep sale. He bought one, and he took it apart. It was a Delica. If you've ever taken apart a Delica, you would look at it and assume it's super simple. It is so hard to take apart a Delica if you don't know what you're doing. Like, I imagine there's Delicas like this all over the world that are just in parts because people can't put them together. This guy sent the knife back. One of the washers was bent like this, and he's like, "It got it like this." I'm like, "No, you did not get it. No, did not get it like this. Like, it's not okay. It's not okay to return it like this. It's just because you can't get it back together yet." So I understand when you're getting back stuff with mangled parts that are in literal pieces. Like,
yeah. I mean, if I get someone who tells me the truth, I'm usually pretty calm about it. Like, hey, I messed this up. Can I buy a new set of hardware? Most of the time, I don't charge them. I just pay for shipping.
yeah.
But if you break the blade and expect me to just switch out a blade, I don't have extra blades to just switch out. I really don't.
People get pretty spoiled. I don't know how many brands do this. Maybe it's very universal and I'm just not aware of it. But like people default to Benchmade and Kershaw, and they're just like, "Well, they do it." I'm like, yes, they will replace a blade that they have 20,000 of identical blades that are in S30V that they just have in boxes. Spyderco is like, "Oh, I broke my my rec blade." Okay, there's no more. They don't exist. What do you want to do? Like, and I'm sure you don't just have a bucket full of Warrior 2 blades just in case someone breaks one. You don't have that
not
stuff.
even extra one.
No, don't have that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like I see, like as I encourage others to use their knives, I'm always like, oh, jeez. I literally just saw your collaboration with Rexford a few minutes ago.
Oh,
at my favorite knife shop in Los Angeles. Yeah, that would be Recon 1. Yeah, I mean that Rexford is I think 2009 or 2010.
Oh, year wise.
Yeah,
Oh wow. Okay, so that was when you were just working with the high end makers and.
Triumph makers. Yeah,
Okay, I thought you were just like I saw that there. I'm like, oh, I didn't know you ventured into just a random one off
yeah.
$4,500
There are
knife.
10 of those out there, and it's kind of crazy the numbers I heard. Some of the people who paid for that knife. You know, yeah.
See you, Sean. Sean's one of our very good members. So thank you for
Hi,
joining us.
Sean.
Happy birthday, sir.
Happy birthday. Yeah, I mean, and I love hearing like makers having success. So I'm, even though I wish more custom makers can do collaborations with me, I'm also very happy that they don't have time to do it because I know then they can get the most money for what their effort is. You
If
know,
you could do a collaboration with one company or one maker, who would it be?
so I'll be naming everybody there.
One. How about this? How about one major name, someone we might not know who is?
Oh.
Here's a hint. Would you enjoy having a knife that has a hole in the blade?
I would love to. I've have several that have holes in the blade. Yes. See?
Oh, there you go. Maybe a rounder one though.
Yeah.
Have you ever?
Actually, years ago, I did approach Spyderco to do a collaboration, and it didn't work out. And I wish it did. And they're great guys. Like I said, I've known Eric since he was in high school. I've known Sal forever. So every time I see them, I still talk to them. I still say hi to them. It just didn't work out. I
Yeah.
mean, maybe one day, you know. But yeah, they're doing so much business right now, and I think they're making more PM2s than any custom collaboration out there. You know, jeez, like
I don't.
the
They
Shaman and the PM2 is like their bread and butter right now or something.
There's something that happens when you purchase a PM2 where you become blind to money. Like it's just like I don't know what it is, but I will spend an hour debating over if I want to buy this extension cord or this extension cord on Amazon, but this one's $4 more. Oh crap, there's a drop right now. I gotta go spend $400 on PM2s. Okay. Okay. Now back to saving $4 on Amazon. Okay, so yeah.
Yeah, my mind works that way too. Like I'm like, oh, that's a sale on this over here. I gotta go buy it over here, and I'll drive like an extra 2 miles or 3 miles to just go get it from that store because there's a sale over there, right?
Yeah.
But on certain things like knives, like I could spend $1,000. It's okay. It's okay. All right, so $1,000. It's cheap, man.
It's so dumb. Today, a new remote controlled car came out, and it's like, it's awesome. It's really good. It's a
Mm,
big one. The amount of screws and parts and electronics and circuits and the amount of stuff that goes into a real hobby grade a remote control car is crazy. And I couldn't justify it. $750. I'm not saying that's a small amount of money, but I have knives that cost a lot more than that are made of 6 parts total.
wow.
And so, but totally get sucked into this hobby. And I see a PM2, I'm like, well, gotta have it. Okay, where's my wallet? Can't get fast enough to my wallet to like buy a PM2 again.
I
So
mean, what I love is that all these guys that came up with like all the handle scales and clips for it, because that was really like, okay, the clip definitely needed to be replaced. And everybody has built like a business doing these clips. And I'm like, wow, that's awesome. And these handle scales, and a lot of the handle scales I like a lot more than the PM2 handle scale, right? And the shape of it. I'm just like, that is so smart. That is like such a great business. And I'm like, yeah, yeah, So in the future, maybe I might do a knife and then offer handle scales for it too.
that
Just
would be
as a,
cool.
a side project,
Yeah.
you know, because that's like Okay, everyone loves carbon fiber, but sometimes you might want like an orange carbon fiber or something.
But
You
not
know,
all the time. Just
but
some
not
of
all
the
the
time.
time, just sometimes. Yeah.
Oh wow. So I'm gonna give you an out because we've been on here for
2 hours. Oh man,
almost
almost.
almost 2 hours in like 4 seconds, 2 hours. So I don't know if you want to wrap this up. I don't know if you had things to do. We can continue, or it's up to you.
You can continue for a little bit longer.
Okay,
Maybe 20 minutes.
sounds great.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
What is maybe this won't be as hard. Maybe it is. What's your like favorite knife that's not yours?
Well, the Boblum Tontos.
There you go. Perfect.
Yeah.
I know Seth Gilman, one of our moderators, Mr. Gilman here. He's a big Lum fan, I believe. He has a lot of knives. He has a lot of fancy knives. He has knives that I can't touch. He has like serial number one knives. Like he's pretty fancy like that.
Yeah. That's pretty
Um,
awesome.
what else we got in the comments here? We'll go through these real quick. There we go. Sean found a charger. We're good to go. I guess we can have fun for the last 20 minutes. What is something else you just like people to know about your company or what you do or
I do 90% of it on my own. So I do all the shipping. I do all the email responses. I take all the phone calls. And if you do happen to call me, please text me first because I get a lot of spam calls. So I don't answer calls from people I don't know. Just text me first. I do all the design work myself. I draw everything in AutoCAD and 2D, and then I import it into SolidWorks and do the extrusion and then piece it all together. Then, yeah, and then I go to all the trade shows, and that's where a lot of cost is incurred, like the trade shows that people don't see, like well, this should only cost this much, and I'm like, yeah, that last trade show cost me about $7,000, so and that's what it is. I mean, to have a booth at a trade show, it's anywhere from 15 to $2,000, but that's just the space. That doesn't come with the furniture. Doesn't come with me renting a car to go there, or me flying there and booking the hotel and or the house or anything to stay to do that show. And that's where you see like the real costs.
yeah.
Like a lot of times, like I'm sure no one knows the cost that you guys incur putting on this or running the Facebook group.
No, people don't. It's just we do it because we do it. And it's not like we make money off this, but yeah, you're right. It's the stuff that we don't talk about it's part of the deal.
Yeah. But yeah, and that's the thing. Like, unless they were in the business, they don't. And like, everyone has this image like, oh, we're riding high on the horse and we got all this money rolling in. No, if we have money rolling in, we're putting it right back into the business, for the next project.
Well, I think I know we briefly talked about that offline. It's like you're in a viable in this community, in this hobby. You are in a position where you can make a living. You're doing something that's productive, that's active. And for me, it's like I can't even get to like step one with kind of this platform of like making a living off this. This is just a hobby for me, but it's been difficult just to see like the path to like financial freedom out of my job, which I love. I love my job I have now, but a job I'm more passionate about, like knives, maybe.
I think like
It's a scary road, I guess, is what I'm saying. It's not just
like
bags of cash at the end of the
okay,
rainbow.
a lot of knife makers, they don't just quit their jobs to go start learning how to make knives, right?
Yeah.
They really they go to another maker's shop first. They learn how to like actually build a knife or what goes into building a knife. They go grind the blade to see how it actually feels and shaping handles and working the materials, just to get a little bit of background knowledge before they start investing in the equipment. And the equipment could be anywhere from tens of thousands to more. And then they have to find a space to house that equipment. So usually it's in their garage or basement. And if they're doing this, they're going to take some time, but it's usually after work when they do it. So they're working late into the nights and weekends, So, and that's the sacrifice that they're putting in, because this is the love of their craft. And if they ever quit their job, it's because their wife has a very good job that can support them both. If he doesn't make it yet, what I mean? So his wife is actually either a nurse, a doctor, or a teacher that has good health insurance that can support the kids if they get sick. And there's a little bit of a cushion there. They don't just quit everything and then jump into knives. But for you and Jason, where you came off and your strength is actually this platform. And nowadays it's you could actually draw a knife, get a prototype made. And I won't just say just draw any knife. Draw something that you love, that you feel that you would want in your pocket. And, go do some research. Look at all the knives in the world. Read some books on knives, read some books on how to make a knife, how to have knives constructed, and really have a sense of what goes in to producing a product like that. And then do your best to make it as easy as possible for the manufacturer to replicate your idea. Because the more time on the machine it takes, the more money it costs. So
the less your design's fleshed out, the more room for interpretation there is.
Yeah. So you want to do things the reason why I learned 3D was because I wanted to, at the time, talk to someone overseas that did not really understand what I was saying or didn't really speak English.
Yeah.
And be able to say to them, this is the grind I want. This is the way I want my handles, And ever since I learned it, I've been able to put in little features and, do an integral and, put in pockets into the frame and, put in little tiny mill slots into titanium frame integrals and also round the back. This was all done in SolidWorks. So to be able to show them a drawing like this is this is what I want. And to be able to describe it, it would still not translate that way. So you kind of want to give them your exact translation of what you want. And you have a platform now that you can basically sell the whole run right on your platform, because they, everyone here is would support you, hopefully. And that's where I would see you being able to test ideas and give your fans something of value, right? Do I need to go contour carbon fiber to match titanium? No, I didn't need to do that.
Glad you did. I'm glad you did.
Contour. I mean, no one did it. And the people who got it are like, what the hell? Holy shit, this is all contour? But yeah, if I didn't do it in the drawing, they'll be like, what are you talking about? You want to contour?
Yeah, we cut the edge. Cut it straight.
Yeah. So it's and take your time. Don't go in a rush. Don't rush a design. I tell people, I have designs in my computer for 15 years. Sometimes I've drawn it and just didn't really speak to me,
Yeah.
And then, I look at it a little while later and it really did, And so it's you keep learning things, you keep playing with ideas, and you for this knife, right? One of the things that I really wanted to do was to have real bolsters, right? And that was something I see okay, the bolster lock is cool, and I've been doing that for years. Okay, and it's really a great. You see custom makers do it, but I'm also kind of old school that I want to offer real bolsters. and something that someone that just set myself slightly apart, like, and someone appreciate, like, oh, this guy's actually offering real bolsters, on a knife, on a production knife, or, get like, fat carbon handle material all the way from Belarus to be inlaid into, an integral handle that is all wire wheel titanium, just to set it apart. So those looks, I kind of like see like how I can keep adding value to a product, and that carbon is that raindrop copper carbon with Damas steel blade. I mean, so when I first talked to David about Damas steel, he's like, okay, just the cost of the blade is $200. I'm like, what? I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like,
It's
well,
pretty. It's pretty.
well, the blade blank by itself, before any work gets done on it, the material cost is about $100, and then for us to do the work and finishing, it's going to be another $100. I'm like, oh, okay, so we're gonna do a very limited amount on those. Okay, very limited.
Make 3.5 of them.
Yeah. But it's like that. That is what it is. It's like not everybody's gonna want the Damas steel one. Not everybody's gonna want to carry it. But the ones who are like my fans for a long time, yeah, they want the Damas steel one. They're like the ones that, hopefully one day, it'll push me to a point where I can offer like, a $5,000, 18 or something, something that's so out the world. Because I want to use everything. I want to use like materials that you don't find on regular production knives, and that's what it is that I'm trying to offer. Is like that handwork, Now the only thing that will really piss me off is if someone tells me like if someone does like have you ever seen someone do a spine whack test?
I refuse to do them, but I'm aware of them. Yes.
So the original idea for spine whacking a blade, and it wasn't called spine whacking, it was spine tapping, was in Bob Terzuola's book, where he discussed how when he's putting together the folder for the first time, he seats his liner lock, which is made out of titanium, by tapping the back of the blade on his wooden bench so it moves over to the right a little bit more. Okay? But he's just tapping it. And the material he's using is titanium liners, which has a property of scratching other materials. Right? Now people are actually taking it and like whacking it on the back of a wooden table, and they're like, oh, it fell. Well, what are the materials? The materials isn't made for that, because the only thing that can move in a liner lock is the liner, right? Everything else is bolted together. So if you have a steel liner, the steel is the same heat treat as the blade and the stop pin and the pivot. The only thing that can move is the liner, and it's going to move backwards instead of forwards. And that's how you fail the spine whack test. So people are just abusing their knives when they do that.
People love doing it to Holtz. It's like, and they do fail, especially the haptics. And people like treat that knife like it's garbage. And it's like, a year ago, a Holt was like everyone's top 3 Grail knives, and now it's like they produced a haptic. They've produced a lot of them fast, like everyone wanted to, getting a lot of knives in the market. And then people spine whack them, and they go garbage. It's like
those knives are beautiful. I mean, I have one of the Holtz.
Yeah.
But I also know that, to abuse a knife, it's not going to last. But I know that, it's like human beings, they know like the parameters of a test, and they want to go, oh, let's try it this way with this instead. If that lock was all titanium without the lock insert, it would not fail.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. If it was just a titanium frame lock altogether, it wouldn't have failed. But because of the lock insert,
yeah,
and the lock insert being steel and heat treated, and it's going to skip.
Oh,
that's what it is.
This is something you should know about Dan. Dan's a big fan of Spider-Man. Um,
Awesome.
he also likes throwing knives at trees. I know that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make sense to me when he does it.
Are they throwing knives or are they like nice knives?
Is this Liz Bowie a throwing knife?
Oh my god!
He tests them. That's how he tests his knives. He chucks them at trees.
Hey, you know.
Well, sir,
All right.
it's been a bit. I really, really appreciate this. This has been great. Thank you. I could stay here and do this for hours, but these people, they need to go to their families. On the
don't
East
wanna go
Coast,
to
it's
their
11
families.
o'clock almost.
They don't want to go to their families. They want to stay here for like 5 more hours. No.
It's true. It's true. But I really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah.
Thank you for being in the group. I hope you've had a good experience and seeing around the group and see what we do.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, you're a wealth of knowledge. I'm going to be picking your brain because I definitely have considered the whole knife designing, making thing. So you might be the best resource out there for figuring this out.
Ask me any question you want.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Even though Jason can't make it, thank you for having me on. I hope you guys enjoy our time together. But yeah, another time.
Awesome, sir. You'll be back. We'll have you back.
Okay.
And in the meantime, post your knives in the group. Do whatever you want. Have fun. And from Thomas, Leong, and absent Jason, I would like to thank everyone for joining us for another wonderful episode of FFIB. And I will see you next week.